Now, what if you wanted to filter your data based on that aggregation? How would you be able to solve this? Now, that takes us to the having clause. The having clause would restrict data based on an aggregated column. Now, there is a thin line between where and having. The where clause would only restrict your data based on a non-aggregated column, while the having clause would restrict your data based on an aggregated column. So you really have to be very careful when trying to use where and having. Both of them would do the same thing, but one would restrict your data based on a non-aggregation, which is where, and the other would restrict your data based on an aggregation, which is having. Now let's see how the code is being placed. You have your select. In this case, we're selecting column 1, column 2, and we are having the average of column 3. Now, all these are coming from a certain schema and a certain table. Now, you can see where I said where column 1 is equals to, meaning I am filtering the data based on a column in my select clause that is not aggregated, right? As usual, I would group by column 1 and column 2 respectively, since those two columns are the columns not receiving the aggregations. However, if I wanted to filter the data based on the average of column 3, in that case, I would use an having. So I would say having average column 3. Now, both the where clause and the having clause can make use of any of the comparison operator or the logicals operator that you are familiar with. Now, let's head over to our console and put this in practice. Back to our console, we have this business question. Your manager wants to get the average standard cost for all products that are of black color, meaning that we will be restricting this data based on column where color is equals to black. He also wants you to filter the data where the average standard cost is greater than 100. Here, we will then now filter the data further by an aggregation having the average standard cost greater than 100. So let's put this into practice. So we'll say select, we'll need the product category ID, then we'll need the average of standard cost. Probably we'll call this as average cost, and all these are coming from sales LT, the product. Now it says that we want to return for all products that are of black color. Here we can then now say where color is equals to black, and we will group by every column in our select clause that is not receiving the aggregation, which is product category ID. However, we will then now filter the data further by the aggregation of the average standard cost. So we can now say having average standard cost, and the condition is less than 100. You might decide that you want to sort this. Here I can say order by. So I could order by either product category ID or average standard cost. So I would say order by average standard cost. So let's do this in descending order. Now let's run the entire thing here and execute. Great. Now you can see how it has sorted it in a descending order based on the average standard cost. However, we have then now filtered it further for every product that their color is black using where, since it is not aggregated, and a further filtering by the average standard cost by using the having clause. Great job.